Hello there, my name is Stephen Butler and I'm joined today by Big-Eared Bob. This is my little pooch pal. I'm introducing him because he snores a lot and snuffles a lot, and so throughout these questions, if you hear snoring, farting, chewing, it's not me, it's Big-Eared Bob. There we are. But yes, I'm Stephen Butler. I'm an actor and a children's author, and I write the Nothing to See Here Hotel series, which hopefully you've heard all about. And I also write the Dog Diary series, which is a collaboration with the American crime writer, bit of a weird one, who lives in America, James Patterson. And yeah, I'm very excited to answer lots of questions today. I have lots of childhood story heroes. I was an incredibly reluctant reader when I was a little boy, and it took me a long time to fall in love with books. And when I finally did, I couldn't stop reading. And so my favourite books were the kind of upper end of middle grade, because that's when I really caught on. And two writers that I loved and two of their characters that I loved were firstly Robin Jarvis. If you haven't heard of Robin Jarvis, you should have. Go and look him up. He's absolutely amazing. And he always wrote in trilogies. All of his books were series of 3. And I love that because there was always something else to move on to. And he wrote a series called the Deptford Mice trilogy. And there's a little mouse, the main character in book 1, who was a little mouse called Audrey Brown. And I remember thinking that she was just amazing when I was a little boy, because she ventures into the sewers, into the land of the rats, to find her missing father. And yes, and takes on a disgusting, hideous cat called Jupiter. And I remember being really excited by that. So you must look up Robin Jarvis. And another trilogy that I loved was Terry Pratchett's Bromeliad trilogy when I was a little boy. And if you haven't heard of those, you should. And the first book is called Truckers, and it's about gnomes, and they steal a truck and they live in a department store. And a lot of the gnomes don't even believe that the outside world exists. And the department store is going to be demolished. And the main character in that is a gnome called Masklin. And I remember thinking he was so cool. Masklin had a spear and he used to fight rats as well. Maybe I had a thing about rats. But yes, I thought that was very cool. So Masklin and Audrey Brown were two of my childhood book heroes. My top 3 tips for storytelling are, number 1, know your characters. Before I sit down and write a book, I have to really get to know my characters. You've got to know what they would think, how they would feel, how they would react. I have a bit of a strange thing that I can't understand my characters until they have a name. And it's when they have a name that I can really get to know them. So that's tip number 1, really get to know your characters and enjoy it. They're fun to get to know. Tip number 2 is make them laugh. I love a funny book. Without funny books, I don't think I ever would have learned to read. A little secret is, as I said before, I was a very reluctant reader. And when I was a little boy, Jeremy Strong, the very, very funny children's author, was my headmaster at primary school. And it was his books, funny books, that taught me that books are dessert and not Brussels sprouts. So yeah, try and make your readers laugh. My rule is, if it doesn't make me laugh, it probably won't make my audience laugh, because I've got a very childish sense of humour, so it doesn't go in the book. So yes, put things in that make you titter, and they'll probably make your readers chuckle as well. And tip number 3 would be to look around you for inspiration. People often say to you, where do you get your ideas from? And the truth is, everywhere. And there might be a character inspired by a person I know, or there might be something funny that happened in real life. A really good example is a long time ago. I think I've got a copy here. A long time ago, my first ever book, I wrote a book called The Wrong Pong, and it's about trolls. And in that book, I wrote that the trolls look like humans that have been crossed with gnarled potatoes. And it's been a running joke in my family for years that my mum looks like Mrs. Potato Head. if you got a red curly wig and put it on a Mr. Potato Head, that's my mum. And yes, and she wasn't thrilled when I went, Mum, I've written a book and you inspired a character and it's a troll. She wasn't very pleased with that. But yes, if you look around you, there are billions of little ideas and little inspirations, and you can be a magpie and just pick out the good bits. Yeah, that's my third tip for storytelling.